Okay, I'm back. Now, this portion is basically, I'm going to try and make it as short as I can. It's a lot of information because it's been 4 years, well, really 5. So, after that court little scenario thing or whatever, I did a petition on change.org after not getting any assistance from HUD as well as code enforcement because they allowed them to drag it on for months. You know, Yusuf Ingelston actually didn't do what was on the violation list, and I guess he called them and closed it, and they allowed it without, doing a follow up or anything. And I knew something wasn't right because I knew they didn't do what they were supposed to do. So I contacted them on like the 31st day, and they act like they weren't aware and all this mess, and they reopened it. But the inspector, uh, Mr. Kinney, talked a good game on the phone with me, like he was upset. But once he got to the house, his whole story, his whole attitude had changed. So I said, okay, that's fine too. Let's let all of this play out because I'm on top of it. I see what's going on, and I'm just going to be mindful and stay in my intuitive space. So that went on. I did the petition. Then they started the bullying, harassing, and trying to force, their nastiness upon me, which you'll see in the video as well. I have no idea, other than them saying that I wasn't on the lease, because that's been all of them, really. But Elizabeth Wilson is the first one that stated that. So I'm like, for them to say that they redid some contracts because it's blatantly, oh, she's just an aide. That's not going to cut it. She's just an aide. That was their her statement mostly. Oh, she's just an aide. She's not on the lease. Nothing else. Nothing about medical documents. Nothing about the power of attorney. Nothing about any truth was coming out of her mouth. So I said, okay. I knew when I heard the laugh from the beginning, I was dealing with someone very, very dark and evil. But the real deal came out. Oh, yeah, I forgot to mention after the first court hearing, when they all got up and said I was cursing them out and this and that, everyone disappeared by the time we turned around. But when we went through the doors, Elizabeth Wilson was standing there. And I was going backwards trying to pull the wheelchair, and she held the door. And I looked at her and I said, you know what? You will reap what you sow. Because it's not over. She didn't peep a word, just standing there with that poker face, But I had already, the Spirit had already told me what I was dealing with. Someone very, very evil and dark and sinister. Inhumane, She didn't have a heart, a soul, just pure evil. With a poker face. And a soft-spoken voice. Oh, she's cloaked herself very well, but not for me. She knew what she did. So this was something that she had already premeditated and planned, and she was so confident. All of them, really. So anyway, after the petition, I had started getting disturbance. Very, very, we already had the neighbor over top of us, children and her boyfriend and all them making all this noise, and I was trying to be neighborly and address it, but that didn't last long. So the complaints after complaint after complaint after calling non-emergency, blah blah blah, finally got to the point of them saying you have to write it, put it in writing. Did that, you know. The non-emergency police made me aware that management stated that if I call, to not send anyone out. So at the end of the day, after my letter that was stamped by their office was issued, you know, I went back and forth with emails trying to find out, okay, what's what, because the disturbance hadn't stopped. And it was very, very horrific. I received a letter from the headquarters, corporate office, stating that they can't tell another tenant, you know, to not allow their children to play. And if Michelle and I continue to harass them, her and her children, that we will be in violation. So I knew then, I said, all of these people are in on this. No one came to even come in their house to listen, or, you know, I think Elizabeth did make a statement, well, you have to get it on record or whatever. But the young lady had made it plain as day in front of an officer that the office said that her kids can play, that she didn't have to you know, do anything, that she wasn't violating anything, that her kids can play. And then she actually charged after me in front of the officer, and he grabbed her and asked her what she was doing. And she was like, she's walking, she's going to go tell somebody. And he knew something was really wrong. So he pulled me aside. He said, you need to take a warrant out on her, a restraining order out on her. Which I told him, I said, you know, I'm not concerned about this young girl, you know. It's just, you know, and then another officer that came out, that was prior to me being notified that they said not to send anybody out, had given me information on, you know, going down to the magistrate and all that, which I did. Magistrate says nothing they can do about it because they didn't physically, you know, put their hands on me. So I left that alone. So this continued, the noise and the verbal threats and the, you know, stalking and attacking tactics continued until we left. For the whole entire time, it was like they were paying them to cause destruction. Because sometimes it started at 5:36 in the morning until I'm like, darn, these kids should be tired, because it was nonstop. And I'm like, it just wasn't normal. She didn't allow them to go outside to a play park and play. That their house was their play park. So they were jumping off furniture. She said, oh, they're roughhousing. And it wasn't just a 1-year-old and 8-year-old. She would have, first year or so, year and a half to 2 years, she had her boyfriend, which had young kids, 4 years old and up, you know, just like they were just uncontrollable. And she said, what's her name? The young lady upstairs, Gilchrist, Geneva Gilchrist, stated to me, well, they don't listen to me. And I'm like, but she's supposedly the adult. But every time I went up there, you know, before you could get to her door, the marijuana smell was coming out. So I said, they're probably high. The kids are probably high and just off the chain. I don't know what the problem was, but it was uncontrollable. Then she had her family members being threatening and speaking foul and stuff. And I even played that video, the one that's online, for Miss Wilson. Still is all planned. So their tactic was to do whatever they wanted to do, to, you know, cause, you know, destruction from day one. They planned it. It was premeditated, and they chose to cause destruction in my life and as well as my sister. So after the constant disturbance, and after the petition or whatever, then the manipulation and trying to enter without cause and not, you know, doing the work orders and just a lot of nonsense, childish and just unnecessary nonsense, you know, and just nastiness. And of course, she always tried to downplay if you confronted her with anything. As you will see in the videos, everything that comes out of her mouth, as well as Yusuf and Passion Fly, all of them were big lies. But Miss Wilson, she's a habitual liar. She's very, very dark. And then here comes the kicker. Then she started doing spell work, black magic, and I was like, wow. So you're gonna take it there when you enter into a dark space in the spiritual realm. You know, you've really crossed the line with respect of a spiritual space. That's God's space. Especially when you come against someone that's innocent and kind and loving and really has a very tight relationship with the Most High. So she really crossed the line when she started trying to use these tactics. They really got upset because I was standing up for myself and exposing them. So they call themselves, you know, coming after me or revenge tactics and all this. So that has continued. You know, it started in 2022, really, when the attacks. Actually, I know the exact day. December the 30th of 2022 is when I received a death spell or whatever attack. When they attacked my heart, tried to give me, as they thought, a heart attack or a frightening episode where I would give into it and I would have a heart attack. But my spirit had already, soon as it happened, I knew. You know, I knew what was going on. And thank God that He has always shown me, you know, what is going on in my life, especially when it deals with evil people. I've always had a gift of discernment of spirits as a child. So I knew what I was dealing with, and I also knew that it was bigger than me, that there was no way that He was going to allow them to end my life for their own whatever reason. I was there to be a witness to the evilness and He allowed me to experience it, but he also knew that I was not going to turn my back on him. They did every spell work, voodoo, witchcraft that they could think of, attacking every area of my life. The entity attachments and the fear, trying to put fear in me with entities in my home and around me, and but I already knew what was going on, so it wasn't going to affect me the way they wanted it to. So when that wouldn't work, they started hiring individuals to do things against me. The first thing after the two attacks, I had attacked at the death threat, or the death attack, was on the December the 30th and the 31st. Those two. And I flicked them right on to the left and let God take over. Let my angels and ancestors took them right on, to where they needed to be. Wherever that was, he took care of them. So they just were doing daily attacks, but they weren't where they were death threats, where it physically moved my body. But these were spell works where it entered into my spirit realm, and it was irritating, messing with my throat, or, my peace and rest patterns. It's a feeling that it's not from your own spirit, or a light or a kind spirit, because God doesn't come with any ill will or fear tactics, or or disturbance in your life. He doesn't put anything of love that's not of love in your spirit realm, your presence, any of that. So I already knew what I was dealing with. I said, okay, now this is she's a witch. And this is a dark covenant that is very boastful and ruthless, soulless, heartless, and they had no problems of showing me. Of course, they didn't show others, or the ones that they were lying to or collaborating with. I don't believe all of them knew. A majority of them did, because all of them were in it for the same purpose, and that was to steal, kill, and destroy. And that's what they were doing. They were stealing money. They were stealing people's lives and trying to destroy them. But they couldn't break me. So they came. They were what do you call it? They began to be obsessed with attacking me, or trying to break me. And this was a daily ritual. Soon as Miss Wilson entered the premises and went in that office, I felt it through her spiritual attacks. But it wasn't ever going to affect me the way they wanted it to, because God was always in control. He sent whoever, my angels, my ancestors, whoever he chose to send to protect my spirit. And I knew that, so I stood even harder. The harder they came, the harder I rode. I rose, and still rising, because it doesn't work that way. You're walking around trying to play God and interfere in people's lives and their stability and their mind and their everything, their money, their, everything, their health, their wealth, their everything. They tried everything, but they did not win. They're not winning, and they know it. So that's why they're still continuing. At least a few of them are still continuing with the black magic. They should know by now that it hasn't worked and it's not going to work. So at this point, because they've done so much illegal corruption and thievery and they've taken a lot from people. It is definitely not just about me, because they were too cocky and bold from the beginning to not have done this for a long time. That's why God put me there. He knew that I was going to be the one that would stand the, I would go through the fire and not turn my back on him, especially, or on my faith. That's why he chose me, because it wasn't easy. There were times where I wanted to just, go off on them or the neighbors or whoever was attacking me, but I had to decide, what was what would be the point, and that's what they were trying to do. When you know that somebody's poking the bear, and doing things right in your face underhandedly and covering it up with lies on top of the lies. They've lied from day one. Before she made that phone call to us, it was already pre-planned. I have documentation showing that they have been stealing money from the tenants. Our rent was a certain amount. I'm overpaying, but the balance is in the negative. They've been stealing and stealing identities. I got a phone call from Elizabeth Wilson. It had to be in 2021, the end of 2021 or beginning of 2022. She called me and asked me if Michelle and I had life insurance. And my spirit just rose then. I'm like, what in the world would she be asking me about that for? And I said, excuse me? Yeah, if y'all having life insurance, we need a copy of your policy. And I said, let me give you a call back. I knew then. I said, oh, this chick is crazy. I know that they're doing something seriously illegal. I called my mom and told her. She said, what? I said, yes. I said, I'm going to call her back. I said, no, we don't have any. But I knew then, because all the other stuff from day one they were doing, behind my back but in my face at the same time. So I knew then. I said, well, that's where all this black magic and all this stuff followed through, because y'all done went and got a fake life insurance policy and think you're going to take me out with some doggone voodoo, black magic. Okay, it may work on some people that don't have a relationship with God. They're not covered. So it has worked. This practice has been around before Jesus even walked the earth. And people just feel that it was something that happened in the past. No, it happens every day in the United States and out in every country. Every religion, every nationality has practiced voodoo. So don't let anyone tell you or make you think that it started in Africa. It didn't. Do your homework. Do your homework and go to a real source that has studied it in a university or Wikipedia, or don't just Google it, okay? Because it's not true. These practices have been going on in a lot of different cultures for centuries. And there, and for some reason, well, I'm not going to say for some reason, it's written in the word that, all of this evilness and destruction is going to happen before he comes back anyway. Because if this world wasn't all messed up, he wouldn't have a reason to come back. So it's supposed to be this way. But people need to wake up and acknowledge the truth, And that's simple as that. If you don't understand it, educate yourself. But don't just jump and judge, oh, that person's crazy. No, I'm far from being crazy. I'm just a realist. And majority of these people out here don't want to hear the truth about who they really are or who people are. For some reason, they feel that God don't see who they are. That they can fake and fool the world and God doesn't matter. So these people aren't dealing with, that don't have a relationship or they don't believe in God because they think they're more smart or powerful. They think, the devil that they're worshiping is more powerful than God. And they so just stupid. It's just stupid. It may have worked and they have robbed and stole, but where do you think that you're going to get any type of peace, happiness, and real love from taking and stealing and robbing from people, especially innocent people? What makes them think that they're going to receive any goodness from what they're doing? It's crazy. But that's the way they think. And that's what they chose to do. Nobody possessed them. Satan ain't possessed them without their approval. Because, they have sold their souls to the devil. But they didn't do it unwillfully. That's what they chose. So, you want to be the big bad wolf, stand in your shit. Point blank. Don't hide in the dark under the moon and under all these rituals and lies and all that. Stand on it. You want to serve Satan? At least be bold enough to say it. Why all the lies and the deceit and the thievery and all this? But trying to act like you a Christian or you a sanctified and holy and then thou person and a person of honor when you have no honor. And trying to convince the world when the world should be the last that they should be trying to convince or trying to put on a show for. The world is not going to be standing beside them when they have to answer for the things that they've done. And they don't realize that. And that's on them. It ain't my problem. And they're not going to put their burden and their lies and deceit on me and expect me to go sit in a corner and act like they won or put me in a crazy nut house and all this crap that they thought that they could do. It's funny to me. Whatever you put out to the universe, you receive back. You put love out, you receive love back. You put hate out, you got to receive it back. It doesn't belong to me. Because I wouldn't dare even think about harming someone for any reason. Even if they tried to harm me, I'm not going to turn around and do what you tried to do to me. I'm not going to sacrifice my life with the Father for your foolishness. Are you kidding me? Y'all really got the wrong one. And you got the game effed up, if that's what you thought. It does not work that way. God loves order. And y'all are out of order and out of control. And it's time for you guys to be dismissed in whichever way he chooses. But you will not be walking around controlling no one else's life after me. All of the ones that participated, I don't care if you just put your name on a piece of paper and act like you didn't know what was going on. You didn't research anything. No one has come to me or my sister and asked one question. Not one person. Not one. They infiltrated the neighbors. Got my next door neighbor put out fraudulently on no basis, so they could put in a voodoo worker, which you'll see on the video, that was stalking the mailbox. They had already tampered with the mail and hired someone in the mail system, or actually they may have did it right at the courthouse and switched the address and had it come somewhere else, but it was tampered with. It's very obvious. I received mail from October, November, and January. And you can see plain as day how that young man was clocking that mailbox. His girlfriend that he lives with is handicapped. He don't work anywhere. So why are you running to the mailbox every day like you're expecting something when you don't even have a job? Unless you're her care provider. But still, what are you checking the mail for every day, 24 hours a day, day and night? And why is the mail carrier allowing you to cipher through the mail before she even puts it in the mailbox? Why are you taking packages from my door that is clearly a camera there and taking it to your own private home? All of it is plain as day. That they had set all of this up to receive something that didn't even belong to them. The stolen court money. They couldn't have done any of this without the judge, James Lewis, and Elizabeth Foster. All of them were involved. HUD, which you'll hear on the end of the tape, Mr. Yusuf outing his co-conspirators. Yeah, that's why HUD was on our side and code enforcement was on our side. Oh, don't forget the police department. When I went to file a copy of my police report of the all the times that I called for the disturbance upstairs, they claimed that I didn't even put in a report. But I took a picture at their desk while she was making a copy of my ID. Before I handed it back to her, I took a picture of the form. The form isn't outside on a counter. I got it from her, from the clerk. But when I went back, instead of her saying, well, what's your name and, when did you file it? Oh, I'm busy. I don't know what you're talking about. That's the second time that I asked for a police report that I had filed and was met with not receiving it. So both of those, the one that happened years ago, is going to be addressed as well in the charges that I'm going to file against Burlington Capital owner Elizabeth and all of the crew, the judges, the head clerk Tina Simmons, the code enforcement affiliates, the police department, the Postal Service, everyone that was involved, all of y'all need to be taken out of your positions, and the system needs to have stricter laws. Every one of y'all need a camera on you. You're getting paid by the government or the state, which funded it. The government funded it. And you guys are all running like crazy monkeys and committing fraud and criminal acts on a daily basis in your profession, on a daily basis, and it is going to end. And it's not because I say so. It's because God said so. You've had enough time to change. There's no excuse. Nobody can point fingers at this one told me this, that one told me that. No. Everyone that is involved were adults in positions that they chose. And they had the opportunity to do the right thing, and they chose not to. It's simple as that. Nobody's going to point no fingers at nobody. Everybody's going to be held responsible for their own action. This criminal network of corruption and thievery against innocent people, stealing their inheritance, their trust funds, their identities, their children, their lives, their freedom, all of it is going to be exposed. It's always, everything in the dark always comes to the light. Y'all just thought because you've done it so long that it wasn't going to get exposed. But y'all group of covets, of dark entities that have allowed yourselves to be bamboozled by the dark side, the devil, or whoever you want to call who you're worshiping, it sure is not God. So please don't call on them now. Y'all have a lot of karma that you have to reap back. You reap what you sow. I don't know what makes y'all think that y'all going to live a lavish life on someone else's back. It doesn't work that way. You had to know it was going to end sooner or later. And everyone that you have wronged, you're going to get the karma back for every doggone person that you have stabbed in the back or killed. While you were laughing. But it's not going to be funny. I told y'all it's not going to be so funny. You're going to have plenty of time to think about it. When you're locked up or you're sitting in whatever position that you're going to end up in, God ain't going to let you forget this. Those entities that you tried to send to me, to attach to me, are after you because they will return back to you. They don't belong to me. How are you going to put an evil entity into a light being, a kind and loving spirit? It does not work that way. Y'all don't have no control over that. You messed up when you started messing in that spirit realm. You already messed up when you started messing with people's livelihoods and their stability. Falsifying documents, filing fake and false claims with the courts and the police department. Nobody can say that they didn't know, because no one called my name or my phone or knocked on my door unless you came there to put a fake fraudulent warrant on there. Got your picture too. So that's all I'm saying. At the end of the day, all of y'all going to stand in it, in front of the world, while you were trying to hide everything. The world is going to see the documents, the videos, and they're going to hear the truth from the horse's mouth. So after this is being posted, you will see a video of me and my sister live in living color, because we're still here, regardless of what y'all claim to do, whether it was a false insurance, life insurance policy, or whatever. The lies are being exposed, and the truth is now being exposed. Love is going to always win, baby. That hate mess y'all on is not sustainable. It just does not work that way. I love myself because the Most High made me who I am. And he sure enough didn't make me a footstool for the devil. But watch what he do for you. Watch what he do for you. Balance, baby. Love and light. That's what the world that he made for all of us to live in. Not to come here and destroy and try to control someone else's life, their mind and the spirit and all that. Y'all crazy. Y'all sick. And all that death magic and all that, it's being returned. So if you're not here to hear this, you still gonna hear it. And please don't try to take yourself out like you thought you were going to drive me crazy and make me take myself out. The devil really fooled y'all. I love myself. I know my self-worth. Y'all don't hold a candle to who God made me. It's sad. Grown adults acting like children, running behind money and power. It's funny because you'll never get it. You'll never have it. You never had it. You had control over yourself. And that's what got you where you're going to end up being. Not controlling yourself, but trying to control other people. It does not work that way. So good luck. But I'm going to tell you, this is going to be my last statement. If y'all don't stay out of my energy, you're going to really, really wish you had. Because my father don't play about me. And the time is now for y'all to go ahead and go on. I will see you in federal court. I know that. Because you all have to be made an example. And laws have to be changed. And that's why all of y'all institutions that turn their backs, public servants that turn their backs on me blatantly and plain as day through email, through your actions, all of you have to be exposed. So stand on everything that you have done or not done. Don't get up there lying, because your karma is going to be even harsher. I'm just trying to give you some advice, since you don't want to listen to the Most High. He told me to tell you one more last time. He said, my child, go ahead and tell him. I'm giving you the authority. Go ahead and tell him. Y'all better sit down and wait on it, because it's coming. There's nothing that you can do at this point that's going to get you out of this trap that you tried to set me in, out of this grave that you dug for me. You dug it for the wrong child of God. A whole lot of angels that he sent here for a purpose, to enlighten people on the love that he has, and the favor in your life that he will give you. Only if you serving him. You can't serve two masters like y'all think y'all can. Cloaking all up in the church choir and everything. Probably in the pulpit. But I know you're going to church faking. But God see everything. So y'all better get ready for the tower to fall. Because it's got to fall. All of these corporations have to fall because y'all been stealing and destroying people's lives. And that's about all I have to say about it. Everybody, get ready. Don't be surprised, because this is real life. This is a spiritual warfare that is inevitable to happen. And people need to wake up and realize that's what it is. We're not here to have no doggone party and just have big homes and cars and at any means necessary. Or we're going to take someone's life and their money and all this and have a good old time. It does not work that way. Y'all worrying about material things on this earth. And God has, wow, streets of gold. Gates with pearls and diamonds. Y'all worrying about this petty mess on this planet. So much that you're willing to do anything to get it. You made your bed and you have to lie in it. And that's all I have to say. Y'all have a blessed life. And I'll talk to you, or you'll see me soon. How about that? Good night.